The Hawkeyes taking care of business in the shutout victory here in Evanston, but after the game, all they want to do is talk about practice. But I'll tell you what, after today's tour, I might have my eye on this thing for the right price. No Tiger Hawk on either side, as you guys can see. Then we have the Bump Elliott sticker in honor of the former Iowa AD. Kirk Ferentz has been leading his Hawkeyes team onto the Kinnick Stadium field for 21 years. All right, everyone, we're going to do something a little bit different today. I got two of Iowa's punt returners, Amani Hooker and Kyle Gronewig, with me. 29-year-old making it look easy through the first two rounds as he threatens to run away from the field and win his fourth major title. Isaiah Moss, one of 5 Hawkeye players in double figures. He had a couple clutch buckets in that second half to help push the game into overtime, but in the end, not enough for the black and gold, and a storied career of one of those Hawkeyes comes to a close. Yeah, Jay, it's quiet now, but obviously it was rocking earlier tonight. The Hawkeyes getting that signature win they were looking for in the Big Ten Conference season, 74-59 over the 5th-ranked Wolverines. Actually, the most points allowed by Michigan in a Big Ten game this season. That 21-2 run you talked about, just really blowing the game open as the Hawkeyes took control in that first half. Tristan Wirfs is a mama's boy.
I've given her a hug before every game, so it's kind of like a routine now, you know, a ritual almost.
A connection rooted in sacrifice.
Money and time were the two biggest things, you know, wanting to be everywhere you could for them.
Sarah Wirfs has raised Tristan and his younger sister in Mount Vernon, Iowa for the better part of 2 decades.
As I got older, you know, I kind of started to understand the struggles that she was going through and how hard she was actually working, you know, to allow us to do the things that we wanted to do and allow us to have the things that we had.
And help her kids overcome the person that was rarely around.
You see all your friends, you know, playing catch with their dads and everything, and I'm playing catch with my fence in the backyard, wanting that.
Tristan's father has never been a part of his life, but that need for dad evolved into disdain and eventually indifference as Wirfs matured.
There wasn't, for me, any emotion tied to it, you know, just kind of just like, he's just a person. You know, he wasn't like, he was never around, so it's like I don't really have any, you know, emotional connection. If he wanted to be there, he would.
Sarah's family helped fill the paternal void and more.
We lived with my grandma in the trailer park up until kindergarten, and that's when we moved into our house in Mount Vernon. Mom would be at work, we know grandma would watch us, and mom would come home at night.
It was just amazing having my whole family close. They were giving rides, you know, helping out groceries sometimes. My family was a huge impact on our lives.
The results of a lifelong sacrifice on display through number 74.
You get to be able to do that from where like we were and to where we are now. It's pretty special.
It is very emotional. I cry almost every time I see him coming down the tunnel on the big screen. You always feel like it's not, you know, you're not enough. And, you know, especially being single, and it's just the best feeling in the world to know that they were listening and that it had an impact on their lives.
For the most part, everything works. We're not sure about the fuel gauge.
They call it the rat trap.
People just think it's hilarious that a bunch of big college guys get out of this thing.
A 1977 camper that some Hawkeyes have turned into the ultimate road tripping vehicle. Sort of.
The steering wheel is upside down for some reason. Nothing right here works at all. No AC, no tunes right now.
Jake Newberg spearheaded the RV purchase after seeing it on Craigslist last summer. $500 later, the guys had a fixer-upper.
There's a shower there, kitchen, like a bed back here, and like a table right here. And we just had to tear it all out because it had roof damage and everything was all moldy.
Furniture, bedding, and other essentials were added for comfort before the guys hit the road for the first time. Sam Brink says the best excursion to date is a 5-hour trip to Drew Ott's wedding in Okoboji.
It was just a long trip, so by the time we got there, we were just ready to enjoy the weekend, and seeing Drew get married was fun. Got a lot of compliments on the camper when we drove that to the church.
It hasn't been all fun and games for the guys and the rat trap since getting the rig. There's been a fender bender with no injuries and also a broken fuel line that almost derailed the trip to Dubuque.
Had to run to Iowa City to get a new fuel line. We put that in, then we finally got it running, and we were like, well, we got it running now, so we might as well head up to Dubuque, and we rolled into Dubuque about 10 o'clock.
A moment that turned into a 5-star memory in accommodations that are anything but luxurious.
You know, we've absolutely got our money's worth. Like, the fun we've had has paid for that. And also, you know, all the work we've done, it's probably only appreciated the value if you look around.
The guys aren't exactly sure what they're gonna do with this thing when they all graduate. But I'll tell you what, after today's tour, I might have my eye on this thing for the right price. Reporting from Iowa City, Adam.Rossow for Hawkeye Headquarters.
I think it's a great experience to kind of be out here now that he's old enough to see what Dad does.
For a little over 5 hours on Thursday afternoon, J.J. Henry and his 14-year-old son Connor had some out-of-the-ordinary father-son time.
Well, when he told me I was caddying this week, it was like 6:45 in the morning, but I was pretty excited.
Connor was on the bag for the first time in a PGA Tour event at the JDC after caddying for his dad in a few Pro-Ams this season.
It was kind of the same. I mean, he was telling me how it would be a lot different, but it didn't really feel that much different.
But for Dad, it was a day that was years in the making.
I was hoping one day that my son was old enough and more interested in golf to be able to come out and be inside the ropes and hang with Dad.
J.J. Henry actually got into golf by caddying for his dad at amateur events when he was in high school. His dad returned the favor when he was trying to make the tour.
He caddied for me actually in Q school in '98 when I first got my tour card. So he caddied for me in a couple tour events right when I turned pro. And so to have things almost come full circle, basically, you know, gosh, what, 21 years later. Who knows? So maybe someday he'll be doing it. I'll get a chance to caddy for him. Wouldn't that be something?
Passing the family's connection to golf to another generation. But for now, the Henrys' focus is on making the cut after a 2-under par opening round.
It's a great experience, and hopefully we'll continue to do well and play this weekend together and have a good time. Lasting memory for sure.
And one that could cost Dad a little bit of dough when the week is done.
You guys make the cut and, you know, maybe get in contention. How much are you going to ask for Dad for the allowance?
I don't know.
He's
I
hoping
guess
we
we get
win
there
so I
when we
can
get
buy him a
there.
car in a year.
That was the deal.
Connor says the toughest thing about Thursday's experience were the hills and the length of the course. He'll be back hauling Dad's clubs tomorrow when JJ tees off at 7:50 in the morning. Reporting from TPC Deer Run, I'm Adam.Rossow.
You guys can grow your hair out, grow your hair and your beards out after we take the senior pictures for as long as you want, and I won't say a word about it. And I'm like, okay, Mom,
take that
we'll
deal.
do that.
And so began the transformation of Levi and Landon Paulson from clean-cut high schoolers
The last time I actually shaved and got a haircut was state finals morning of my senior year wrestling.
to long-haired, bearded football players at the University of Iowa. The follicle freedom coming after years of tight haircuts and scruffless faces, a standard for prep wrestlers in the Hawkeye State.
Hair can't touch your ears. Hair can't go down below your eyebrow, and you got to be clean shaven all the time, you know. And so we just did this and did this and did this.
Until their careers on the mat ended. Then it was time to let it flow.
It was awkward for a long time, but then we finally got to a stage where it's long enough.
A manageable length, but still plenty of maintenance.
The worst part about it is drying it. When we had short hair, it's just one towel swipe, you're done. Like this, you're like shaking it, you know.
The 4 years of growth will be coming to an end for the Paulsons in early February. It's all because of an idea hatched by Landon and his girlfriend to help raise money for the patients right here at the university's Stead Family Children's Hospital.
I told her this year, I was like, what if you raise like $5,000 and I'll cut my hair like at the dance marathon.
These guys started conning me into it. They're like, hey, what if we raise double the amount, you know? What if we raise $10,000? We cut your hair. I said, you know what, might as well do it.
The experiences they've shared through the football program sealing the decision.
We've had so many opportunities to go over to the Children's Hospital, and you know, it's totally incredible, that building. Like when you swarm out of that tunnel, it's just, I mean, you can't really express it.
And that feeling makes losing a little bit of your identity to help others just fine with Levi and Landon.
Hopefully it grows back. You know, it didn't grow back for my dad, but you know, that's the biggest fear, is that, you know, we cut our hair off and it doesn't grow back and we're stuck bald like Coach Doyle or my dad, you know.
The guys will cut their hair at the dance marathon on February 2nd, provided they reach their goal of $10,000. They did leave open the possibility of shaving their beards too, although they say that would take a total of $15,000 in donations. Reporting from Iowa City, Adam.Rossow for Hawkeye Headquarters.